Hello, and welcome back to the Winning Agenda's coverage of some Twilight Struggle from the Stalin Division 2021. My name is Jesse Marshall. This is the first match of the new Stalin Division season. So I'm excited to be back here with some Twilight Struggle. It's actually been a while since I've sat down to play a game, so hopefully not too rusty here. Let's have a look at this hand. So we've got reasonably blue hand. As I always say, not the worst thing when you're the Soviets in the early war. Have a few blue cards because, as we know, all of the 4-op cards are either blue or neutral. So we've got 2 4-ops here, which is fine. Got to be, obviously cautious about playing US Japan in terms of timing when Asia scoring is in play on turn 1. But it doesn't look like, we don't have Asia scoring, so who knows. We've got a decol here, which we're probably not going to headline. We're probably going to headline the captured Nazi scientists since we don't have the defectors. So because we don't want to have defectors, sorry, it's the first talking that I've done in the day largely, so need to clear the old throat. All right, 60 minutes game, first at 30 minutes losers, yes, indeed. So we've got decol, we don't want to lose that to the defectors, so we'll hold that for one of our action rounds, possibly the first action round. If we had a scoring card, then perhaps I would be more willing to take the risk on getting defectors. They have done a setup which makes it look like they probably have Marshall Plan, which kind of makes decolonization a little bit better, but also makes it in some ways less urgent because we still want to coup, probably Italy, but possibly Iran. But one of the advantages to decol in the headline phase of turn 1 is that you can get into Algeria and threaten France. So they've gone for what looks like a dominate Europe after this Marshall Plan setup, because they haven't dominated in the headline phase, so they're not headlining Europe scoring here. So presumably it's going to be Marshall Plan, after which I think we're happy to coup. Okay, so headline blockade, interesting. So it could be a poor hand for them, rather than a Marshall Plan setup. So let's go with cooing Italy, I think, still, with this NATO. So since they didn't have the Marshall Plan, there's still a chance that we can dominate in Europe. Cooing Iran is also nice, but I think I'm happy to just put the pressure on in Italy here. So they can come back at us with a take Italy because they have the France adjacency with a 3-up card. So we'll see what they've got. Okay, so they do have the 3-up to take Italy. So not ideal. We have Truman Doctrine, so we can... we have to be a little bit careful here with where we place our influence. Actually, because I've got Truman Doctrine, I don't want to put another one in Austria particularly. We might just spread them out as such. So now we've got a bit of an interesting one in terms of whether we want to coup Iran with this US Japan. I kind of don't in some ways. I do want to get them out of Iran, but I want to think about my other options. So we've got 5-year plan, containment, and NORAD, none of which are particularly attractive to play. We want to play containment at the end of the turn. We probably want to use... So we probably don't want to play NORAD as well on turn 1, so we might use that to go to space, although going to space as the Soviets on turn 1 is not particularly ideal. I might try and 5-year plan this Truman Doctrine, but that means that we end up having to play containment on an earlier AR, so not ideal. Thanks, Michael. Welcome down. So that has turned a little bit awkward. If we'd done the same coup on Iran and rolled the same, then they would have just couped us back, and I think that would have been worse for us. So I'm still happy that we couped Italy there. So I think perhaps we do give them US Japan, coup Iran, and then we're set up for decol into the rest of our plays. AR1 was coup Italy, leaving one influence. That is correct. Yeah, so if they've got Korean War, they've got Korean War, but I think this gives us the best So again, not the ideal role because it gives them a decent coup back, but remains to be seen what the quality of the rest of their hand is, given they did dispose of 2 bad cards early. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that in the blockade and the socialist governments, that doesn't necessarily mean that they've got all bad cards in their hand. They could have just been front loading those difficult cards to leave themselves a maximum flexibility for the rest of the turn. So we could well see a 4-op coup here or something else of that nature. But if we either see an unsuccessful coup or no coup on Iran, there's every possibility that I'll coup Panama just to reduce DEFCON. We'll see how we go. All right. Because they've moved into Malaysia, I think we'll just pop the decol now. We are giving them an AR for Europe domination, but at least we're moving into Thailand. Let's go Algeria. And then I think because we can't be cooed out of Thailand and we've got Iran at the moment, although obviously we could lose that on our next AR, I think I'm happy to put the rest of these into Africa, although that does give them coup targets in Africa. Obviously the ideal situation for us is to reduce DEFCON to 2 before we play the decol for that reason. But I think if we go Zaire, Angola, then they get one of them, which is not really a bad outcome. If we go Nigeria, then they get Nigeria, which is a little more annoying. Although, actually, that being said, if we go Angola, Nigeria, they coup Nigeria, we take Zaire, and then we can coup Nigeria on a future turn. I think that's not so bad, and that means they're not coupping Iran. So I'm happy to be a little bit more aggressive with the battlegrounds there, because I think hopefully, the plan with the Soviets is that you have more opportunities to coup back into battlegrounds. Okay, so we lose Angola, which again, we've got more cards that attack Angola in the mid-game, and Nigeria is a little harder to get to, so I'm not too upset about that, and it means we get Thailand as well. So, now we've got to think, so they've got 3 ARs left, so we don't really want to be playing containment yet. We could, I think, just play Truman Doctrine here to take Thailand is the way we want to go. DEFCON's at 2, so we're not in a particular rush up here. The other thing I'd like to take is Algeria, but this is okay. I think just getting Truman out of the deck. Italy already gives us adjacency to the Mediterranean countries, so we don't really mind losing the one out of Yugoslavia. And we don't really lose too much tempo, plus we get to claim Thailand here. So I think this one is all right. So De Gaulle goes to space, which gives us a little bit more tempo, breathing room. So we don't want to give them NORAD. We're probably going to space NORAD. We might hold 5-year plan in case we draw Europe scoring. So we might just space NORAD now and then play containment. So we hit on space, which is nice. Yeah, so I think now we get to play containment last AR. Failure on the Arab-Israeli war. Let's go 1 to Iran, 1 to Algeria, and 1 to Syria, I think. We could go 1 to South Korea, but I think I like just setting up this Middle East domination. The only thing is they can now poke Thailand, which I don't love. So perhaps I think overprotecting Thailand is a bit more important. If we go like this, if they headline Middle East scoring here, that's okay. Protecting Southeast Asia and Asia scoring is going to be important for us. We've got some good coup targets here. next turn. Try and make some inroads into the rest of Africa. We've reduced the effectiveness of Korean War, so placing influence into South Korea aggressively is going to be important for us next turn to give us a chance to take it and to put some pressure on their ops. So ops priorities for next turn are probably one into South Korea when we can manage it. We'll see if we draw NASA, and then moving into Pakistan and India and Laos and Burma, I think, just to solidify our Southeast Asia position. And hopefully we get to 5-year plan away Europe scoring. That would be the ideal situation. All right, North Korea, that's a bit annoying. So we do get to 5-year plan Europe scoring. We get to headline Suez Crisis, I suppose. Still haven't seen defectors, don't want to headline D-Style. Could headline Olympic Games to hold on to more ops. We're happy to play Marshall Plan since we are getting rid of Europe scoring anyway here. The question is how we're going to manage this. Probably getting purged. So having Olympic Games, not ideal. As opposed to Suez Crisis, that, you know, that difference of an op could make a big difference. We're either getting purged or defectors here. And I think on both, Suez Crisis is better for us to have in hand. So I think headlining Olympic Games is correct. We could headline D-Style if we don't think they're defectorsing to repair North Korea, but that feels pretty bad. I think I'd rather give them the coup on Nigeria and repair North Korea, maybe, or demand the 4-up out of them. We'll see if they headline Purge. I think we headline Olympic Games. If they've headline Purge, then perhaps we demand the 4-up out of them in North Korea, but as in, if we coup, it demands that they have a 4-up and to be able to take North Korea, but they could just ops race us there, which we would lose given the situation, although we do have, you know, pretty good ops hand even under Purge. So the question is, can we retake North Korea and threaten them in some way? Actually, I think we can here. So we can go 1, 2, 3. So now if they coup, we get South Korea, which I think is pretty good. Yeah, I think I'm happy to take that. So they coup, we get South Korea, and we don't even have to spend the China card to do it. Or they take South Korea and we get the coup. So they take the coup on Nigeria, we'll take South Korea. And I think I am just going to event Suez Crisis here. It's worth a lot more as a 4-op removal than it is as 2 ops playable. And we'll probably use our 5-year plan to overprotect North and South Korea later in the turn. Okay, so we get a couple of VPs there out of Asia scoring, which is nice. Good to put that pressure on them, and certainly glad that we fought them for those. Interesting that they chose to coup in Africa, given that they had Asia scoring, but how's our weather now in Australia? Yeah, it's pretty cold. It's quite cold, Michael. How is it over there? You must be getting warm in Nevada at this time of year. Event the Suez Crisis and take 1, 2, 3, 4. It's interesting whether we want to take out of France 2 or take 2 out of UK since we have special relationship. I think we take 2 out of France though. Since we have adjacency, they kind of have to pardon me, they kind of have to honour that. We've also got Truman Doctrine out of the deck, so we shall see whether they do. It'd be nice for them to play Warsaw Pact here, to be honest, so that we have a bit more influence to de-Stalinize, although we have got most of the Comic-Con influence still. It's cooled off upper 30s. It was 40s in the last few weeks. Oof, yeah, 40s is pretty hot. Alright, so I think I want to de-Stalinize now and then special relationship to just consolidate that a little bit, or maybe even special relationship into Syria. So de-Stalinization, take 1, 2, 3, 4, I think. I think that's our worst influence left on the board. We don't have a heap. Maybe Poland is worse at this point. 1, 2, 3. I think we just go 4 into South America, or maybe we go 1 Mexico since we're turn 2. We could also go 1 Libya, but we're expecting NASA here at some point and they haven't spaced it with containment, so I think the 1 into Mexico is better. The other thing to be very careful of in the early wars of the Soviets is don't play the China card when you're trying to 5-year plan away scoring cards. I have definitely done that before and it is not fun. Yeah, upper 40s, 40s, Michael. We get 40s in, there goes NASA. So much for it not being spaced. We get 40s in summer and it is pretty brutal. 2 influence. Why am I getting 2 influence from special relationship? I don't understand. I'm not. Okay, it just says place 2 influence at the top of the screen. Yeah, we get 40s in summer and yeah, it's just brutal. So where do we want this to go? There's a lot of options. So we can go into Venezuela to prevent the 1 out of realigns that they could try on us. We can go Mexico again to prevent the slightly more advantageous realigns that they might have. Or we can go Syria so that we dominate for the moment in case they have the scoring card in hand. I think I prefer Mexico just to try and hold on to that. And then we'll probably go Venezuela, Brazil, or Venezuela, Syria next action round. We'll see how we go. Tied the record highest ever at 47 degrees centigrade. Ooh. I don't think... Yeah, I think we may have had 1 or 2 47 days when we had terrible bushfires one year. It was known as Black Saturday. And I remember walking out of my car and just across the road, and it felt like I was walking in an oven. It was crazy. It's like that same blast of heat that you get when you open the oven door. 5 USSR influence in Eastern Europe is what we want. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we still have adjacency here. Let's just go Yugoslavia, I think. Maybe it's better to go Austria. I think we'll go with Yugoslavia. We might actually be able to tie country count if it comes down to it. Yeah, those 47 degree days are just absolutely brutal. So I'm glad that it's cooled off a little bit for you to upper 30s. Do you have any kind of pools or other things that you can cool off in that kind of heat? Or do you just kind of sit inside with the aircon on and wait it out? So I think we might now need to go Iraq here just to stave off no pool, no access to a pool nearby. Presumably, I mean, we've still got Vietnam revolts, we've still got Romanian abdication as 2 cards that are going to get us some access in some non-battlegrounds. So that's one of the reasons why I'm just not placing my own influence into non-battlegrounds at this point because I'm kind of waiting for those things to come. I was also waiting on NASA though, and their UN intervention. It's a bit annoying. But I think we're looking all right here. We're up 6 VPs. The board's looking all right. We just, 5-year planned away their best scoring card. I think my HOA does have a pool, but I've never used it because it's always packed with kids from their neighborhood. Okay. Yeah, fair enough. I recommend giving a pool a go in very hot weather, but you're a fair way away from any beaches there, aren't you, though? It's not super easy. It's a fair hike. All right, there goes Vietnam to space. So 2 VPs, unfortunately, for them from the coup, but we kind of evened it out with our Asia scoring, so that's not too bad. So we've got CIA, which we need to be careful of here. We've got defectors, which means we get to headline, but not a very high ops hand, unfortunately. At least we have the access from NASA. But this CIA created, we need to be a little bit worried about. We also don't have a way to get mill-ops. It's a little bit frustrating. So CIA might be our hold card, but then they'll know we have it, which is kind of irritating going into the mid-war. I'd almost rather just get rid of it here. So what can we do in the headline? Assuming that we're going to CIA AR1. I don't really want to do that given how things are sitting with the D-style influence. It is risky to hold over CIA, but I'm tempted to at this stage. I just want to think this through a little bit more. So, independent Reds. Does that hit Czechoslovakia? I think it does. Yeah, it's annoying. Okay, so they're going to get a couple in Czechoslovakia. Fidel's going to be good for us. NASA, we want to event. Cambridge 5, we could event, but it's... Well, I guess we do have a little bit of influence here. 5-year plan means we can't hold CIA unless we space 5-year plan. So I guess we probably are doing that, which means maybe playing NASA first so that at least there's something... I mean, they're just going to coup Venezuela and they're going to roll well, and it's going to be really frustrating. But we have to get the CIA out of our hands, so it is what it is. I think we headline NASA into their Middle East scoring, which is nice. Should have put that one in Syria. Would have been 3 VPs. It's 4-hour drive to the beach, and the Pacific Ocean is very cold anyway. Yes, that's true. It is quite cold. Trigger that event. They're going to know we have Asia and not a lot of ops. But there's only so much you can do, and getting CIA out of the deck is just nice to get done. We can space something here just to try and get the VPs. Okay, whew, they rolled a 1. Nice. So let's not take Egypt. I think we'll just go the 1 into Laos here to threaten that Asia domination. They could still have Indo-Pakistani war, so we could have gone 1 into Pakistan, but then again, I mean, if they had IP war, then they were 1 in 3 to get that influence. But the advantage to doing the 1 in Pakistan is we could then go take Pakistan, take India, and take a non-battleground with the China card, which I'm not averse to given the victory point situation, and that would net us a couple of additional victory points. I think that's a totally fine trade for the China card. But then holding the China card to the mid-war can also be nice in case you have a really bad turn 4 hand. So they're fighting us for non-battlegrounds, which is fine. Means we get mill-ops, which is great. So they could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They've only got access to 6 countries. We've got access to a lot more, but we have limited ops. So we are probably going to have to spend the China card here. They've got, I think we know they've got Formosan Resolution and Romanian Abdication in hand. So let's have a look at they could have redrawn. Actually, it'd be better to play a 3-op, but maybe if we're going to India, then we can take Pakistan. So if we're going to Burma rather than Afghanistan, then we can take Pakistan and India next AR. So I think that's probably the way to go. Let's do that. So we'll take Burma. It also means that, yeah, I think we don't want to move into Vietnam particularly. Giving them the China card is a little annoying, and giving them the 6+ on Pakistan and India is also annoying, but I think I'm okay to do it here. We can also just 5-year plan with both defectors and independent reds in hand, and we're happy to hit either of those and hold one of them over. So I'm not bothered about playing the China card with 5-year plan in our hand. We can also hold 5-year plan if we want, but I don't really like doing that. It's the mid-war. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think is what we want. And if they want to 6+ it, then they can 6+ it. That's fine. That should hopefully be the end of it. Okay, they had the Europe scoring. That's pretty annoying, but at least we get these 8 VPs, and we can move on to going, pardon me, Fidel, and then 5-year plan to solidify the South American situation a little bit. This is going to be really annoying if they draw one small step next turn, but let's hope they don't. Let's hope we can get to that 2 VPs on that 3rd space spot. It's just like really irritates me when I get ahead on the space race early and then don't get that 2 VPs on that 3rd spot. For some reason, it just tilts me more than anything. All right, 2 ops from Korean War, and unfortunately a failure. Would have been nice to just solidify Korea since we've given them the China card, but that's okay. We wanted to overprotect Venezuela here anyway to protect from Voice of America, and we'll go into Brazil. So we've got adjacency in case we get cooed by an ABM or some such thing. Defectors giving them back a VP, so unfortunately they picked a couple back up off us. But I think 6 VPs ahead with a strong position in South America and Central America. Not a bad way to exit the early war. So they're going realignment on Algeria here. That's annoying. But we did pick up a VP from Millops, which is nice. All right, so a reasonably strong hand to start the mid-war for us. Redrawn, we kept independent reds. We have not redrawn anything. We've got Central America scoring, which is great. ABM treaty that enables us to coup Panama. And plenty of ops to play into South America. So I'm feeling like we could get a pretty sweet... we've also got a pretty sweet scoring in Central America this turn. They may have Africa scoring, so we need to think about that. We've also got Muslim Revolution, which could be okay, although Middle East scoring's out of the way, so that's kind of the least impactful region, so we'll probably use that to solidify South America. With 3-4 ops, Brezhnev Doctrine is not at its strongest as a headline. 3-4 ops and a scoring card. So we might actually headline ABM treaty here, since we know defectors is out of the way, and then later in the turn we might try and salt for ABM, since they're the ones with the African battlegrounds. But we'll see how we go. Okay, so let's go with ABM treaty coup Panama, I think, first up. So they're going to Panama Canal returns, get an additional influence in Panama. We definitely want to degrade DEFCON. So I think we want to coup Panama still. And then I think we want to place influence and let them have a coup on the next action round. But we'll think about that. We'll see how this coup goes. So let's coup Panama here, and it did not roll well, which is frustrating. So we might just coup Panama again here, actually. That's better. Now, they can obviously take Brazil, which denies us that control, but we've got the control in the region that we actually have the scoring card for this turn. So I think that's more important. And we've also got salt negotiations for the ABM treaty. We do need to worry a little bit about this situation over here in Africa. So they do take Brazil. They get presents to defray that a little, which we can coup out. And I'm kind of tempted to do that. Independent Red's actually not a bad candidate for space though here, which is interesting. Although I'm not sure we really care that much about the influence in Romania. So I think perhaps we pop, the options are pop Central America scoring and just take the VPs, or coup Nicaragua to solidify Cuba. They could coup back, but I think I'm happy to try this, which is worth a VP anyway, because it got rid of their presence. Plus, it makes it harder for them to get rid of us later. So they're probably going to just try and realign Mexico here, which would be annoying, and I'll be kicking myself if they succeed. Oh, it's really frustrating. Okay. Well, you win some, you lose some. Yeah. Perhaps popping the scoring there was the correct way to go about it, but let's just do this and then try and make our way back to Mexico. We've got control over the scoring, so we can afford to do this. Although it is pretty hard to press through Guatemala. Maybe we don't want to. I think we'll just pop the score. Oh, we can't. No, we're not going to allow them to take South America like that. So 1, 2, 3. And then we can't realistically get into Africa particularly well at this point. So, I mean, it might be that threatening that, or at least blocking off Honduras, since that's the only place. Oh no, they could just take Costa Rica, couldn't they? That Syria influence still looks okay. Overprotecting North and South Korea is probably better than that. Yeah. So let's 1, 2, 3, 4. Go protect North Korea first, and then South Korea later in the turn, ideally. We'll see if they move into Mexico. Because we can still salt negotiations here for ABM. Salting for ABM. They don't have amazing coups, but our coup back on Mexico is also not amazing. Okay, they go space, so I'm happy to Central America. Take the 6. So we lost 3 VPs from that exchange, but what can you do? Allende comes out. We'll probably coup Colombia here, I think. We do want to go to space, so I'm going to space this just for those VPs. And then, yeah, I think I am going to coup Colombia, but I think I want to do that at the end of the turn. Although, so I want to hold Brezhnev. I think I want to salt negotiations for ABM and then coup them in Italy. But, it does open us up a little bit to like a China card coup in Pakistan if we do that, is the only thing. So we have to think about that. I think perhaps a coup on Saharan states might be better for us here. Oh well, at least to go to their domination, I guess that's worth a couple of VPs. Yeah, so I'm not sure about this salt negotiations. We could salt for decol. Headline decol and then coup, and but that still leaves DEFCON at 4. I think the fact that we don't particularly want a high DEFCON makes salt not an amazing play for us here. But it does get us back some pretty powerful cards is the other thing that are going to let us access Africa and try and deny them the advantage they have there. Okay, well with that play I think we do want to salt. So let's do that. Do we want AB? I think we want ABM treaty just for a big coup next turn. The thing is we need to headline it. The other disadvantage is if they have Missile Envy in hand, they get to play ABM treaty here, which is not ideal. So in some ways, perhaps decol is better. But decol doesn't synergize particularly well with what we're trying to do. Because if we decol, firstly, they've overprotected most of these battlegrounds, but then DEFCON is high. At least it gives us access though. Whereas, yeah, I think that is the way to do it. It does give us this DEFCON risk, and it does mean that they can China card coup us out of Pakistan. But I think giving ourselves the chance to slow this Africa situation down is probably important. Plus the fact that it makes it harder for them to headline. Makes it hard for them to headline Africa scoring. Okay, so this is a decent, very decent hand. We do need to be a little bit careful of South America here. But I think a headline decol is fine. So there's no DEFCON degrader that's going to allow us to... Oh, actually, we could Lone Gunman. So we could headline Lone Gunman, and then get the 2 coups for ourselves. But I feel like a Lone Gunman coup is not ideal. They don't really have great... they can coup Iran. That's actually pretty annoying, cooing Iran. I was going to say they don't have great DEFCON 3 coups, but that one is actually decent. The thing about headlining Lone Gunman is it gets Lone Gunman out of the deck, which I don't like. We also have Liberation Theology, which is going to be nice, and we've got Brush War this turn. I think we just do this just in case they headline the scoring card. Okay, interesting. We don't have heaps of ops to replenish whatever they take away, particularly take away from Asia. That's going to be pretty annoying. The 2 Koreas would probably be the most annoying thing for us if they Voice of America us there. Thailand, Burma, Laos, okay. So 1 Thailand, which we now have to overprotect. 1 South Africa, 1 Algeria, 1 Zaire, I think. And then I think we say to them, you can flip Thailand, and then we try and brush war Thailand at 4+. So to do that, we want a coup here. Brezhnev would have been a very good headline with this hand, but we did not go for that. So I think we coup. It'd be nice to coup with a 3 up here, actually. 1. Yeah, I think 2, 3, 4 is right. And then I think we actually coup with no rad on Zaire. Yeah. Not a great roll, but we are in there. So they could place one into Canada here, which would actually be kind of annoying. Probably could have thought about that. I was like, oh, at least we'll have a turn before NORAD does anything, but no, DEFCON is still high. So if they flip Thailand with the China card, we get another coup. But then they get to spread into Laos and Vietnam, so that's a bit frustrating. This hand's good, but it's not high ops, which has turned out to be not ideal for us. But look, I mean, we've still made inroads into Africa. Yes, they can flip this back with a 3-up card, but we can also flip Algeria now with a 3-up card, which significantly puts a dent in the victory point position compared to where they were at the start of the turn. We do want to move into Argentina here, probably with one small step or Vietnam revolts, depending on what happens. It's unlikely we're going to event Vietnam revolts, even though we're fighting around this region. It's a bit of a funny... okay, so just breaking us there. Interesting. So now we can actually go 2 in Thailand, 1 in Laos with Brezhnev Doctrine. Overprotect Thailand, and then we can event Vietnam revolts if we want to. Yes, they get a coup now. Yeah, that was actually not good. Playing the NORAD was a problem there. It meant that we didn't get to have that second coup for free. But I think in any case we wouldn't have taken it at that point. I think taking Thailand back was actually more important at that point. The other nice thing about this brush war is we can use it in Africa. So whilst they leave Angola sitting like this, we can take it, or we can coup Cameroon and then take Nigeria with it. So I'm feeling okay about that. UN intervention, what have we got? South African unrest, fair enough. So couing Zaire back, I imagine. Yep, and then where's the NORAD influence going, which we can now cover up. But we also had to spend the Brezhnev Doctrine, which we wanted to use to flip Algeria. So that didn't work out perfectly. It'd be interesting to see if they have Southeast Asia scoring here. Okay, just taking back Algeria, which I'm okay with, because I think now we can coup Cameroon. And then we can brush war Nigeria. The other option is that, like, there are obviously better targets for brush war on the board. Like, we can brush war Italy at 4+ here, which maybe is worthwhile actually. But it does feel a little bit greedy to overlook a 3+ on Nigeria if we get to keep that. But if that goes back to 4+, then yeah, maybe. I think denying them control is just so important. It's worth so many VPs, and Europe's already been scored for the second time. So yes, it's going to come back once more and come back for final scoring. But I think for trying to press for victory on the current board, which we certainly have the opportunity to do, I think this is where we want to be. So they put 1 into South Africa, 1 into Vietnam. Okay. So now we can go for Nigeria, and then we can Vietnam revolts. So that was worth like 7 or 8 VPs or something. Did we roll a 3 as well? No, we rolled a 6. Okay, so we would have got Italy. But I think, yeah, taking that Nigeria was just much more important. So we are 1 VP behind on Southeast Asia scoring now, but we can also start pushing for space, so we can puppet governments here, send puppet governments to space rather. That does mean that we can't space grain sales, so we need to be a little careful of that. So in some ways I'm a little bit nervous about doing it, but we're only space, right? So we want to go, yeah, if we send puppet governments to space, then we're annoyed if we draw grain sales next turn and it is still in the deck. But it does mean that we can press potentially for victory with it, so it's worth thinking about. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so it looks like they do very possibly have, pardon me, Africa scoring and Southeast Asia scoring. So now is a good opportunity to play Vietnam revolts and give ourselves an extra VP back there, although I think it's actually better to just coup with the 1 small step on this AR. So that's worth definitely 2 victory points, but this is worth 3 victory points if we successfully coup Saharan states. So I think that's probably better. It depends which scoring card they have, and we just don't know. Let's go with that one. I mean, all indications are that they do have the Southeast Asia scoring card because they attacked it pretty aggressively with their Voice of America, which could have gone anywhere on the board. But Asia was, I think, the most profitable place for them to use it, so it kind of makes sense, even if they didn't have the scoring card. This liberation theology is going to be helpful. We may not actually, yeah, if we use liberation theology, we're not actually going to get to use the Vietnam revolts, but we're not going to play puppet governments anyway, so I think that we're just not going to get the bonus out of the Vietnam revolts here. We could play the liberation theology space puppet and then hold the Vietnam revolts for a headline next turn, which actually wouldn't be too bad. It would help us if Southeast Asia scoring isn't, if they don't play it this turn, then it gives us more capacity to for instance, flip Lao back and then take Burma with a 3-up card, which wouldn't be too bad. And I think I prefer that to holding on to puppet governments or holding on to liberation theology. So we might go with that sequence. So they've had a pretty strong start in terms of they haven't played any bad cards yet this turn. They may have had a pretty clean hand. They did UN intervention away something. What did they intervention away? South African unrest, that's right. So I'm kind of thinking maybe they've got a couple of problem cards that they have to deal with here, because there were quite a few other options that they obviously had there at that point in their turn for that coup. So Cultural Revolution is worth a VP for us. And they're going back for that domination. Okay. So we'll, I think, still say that they can have it here. It is a little bit annoying that they just have so many ops to press into all of the important places, but that's okay. So they're going to get 6 back from this Africa domination. I think it almost is worth holding on to puppet governments to deny them that, although it is just so easy for them to get it back that we kind of almost want to concede that. It's just that playing this as an event just feels pretty meh at this point, since it's 2 turns until it's going to come back and mean anything. But it is a large bank of victory points for later on. But then fighting them for if they do have at least 1 scoring card, fighting them for that domination is definitely worth a few VPs now, which could end the game. So I'm kind of thinking that going to 4 countries here could actually be pretty good. And I think the Vietnam revolts is going to be a good headline next turn. So I think we want to try this. It does hurt me a little bit, as I said, to get rid of this, but I think it's that. And then if they have 2 scoring cards in hand, they have to play one of them. If they've only got the Africa scoring card and they've got another good play this turn that lets them take another African non-battleground, then that's a little bit more annoying for us, and we have to think about what we're going to do. But hopefully that's not the case. And they've also got to choose, like, maybe they go into Argentina here. But I think I do want to hold this for the headline next turn. Okay, another VP for us, interesting. Okay, so they're still threatening both of them, which means we can't go to space and threaten the win. I mean, I still think it's Africa that they've got. So I'm just going to say, fine, you can have these 4 VPs from Southeast Asia. And then I'm going to try and press for Africa domination myself next turn. Interesting chat. I mean, maybe they had the read that I had Africa scoring, or maybe they had Africa scoring and they're just trying to bluff me out. But that is interesting. Okay. So Africa and South America for us this turn, and we've got a pretty bad hand. But let's see, can we, if we coup, we can't quite, so we're definitely quagmiring here. And then we can coup, we haven't got a big coup though, which is a bit frustrating. So we can even up South America and Africa, and then progress to the reshuffle with a pretty even position, though, you know, we are a little bit now behind in terms of non-battlegrounds in Asia, frustratingly. So between Portuguese Empire crumbles, now unfortunately we don't have a 3-up we can play, that's annoying. Headline Hunter, okay. At least they haven't got a good coup. They do get Argentina though. Okay. So then I think we just go Portuguese Empire crumbles, flip Angola with the China card, and then try and realign them out of Zaire. I think that is our best path to doing anything this turn. We can also Indo-Pakistani war, but we can't get to space VPs. So yeah, I think that is our best shot. The other option would be, yeah, I think that's right. And then we can go Botswana and we can realign South Africa as well. I mean, we're running very short on ops at that point, but okay. So let's see if they coup one of the non-battlegrounds here, which presumably they will, to save Zaire. Going realignment. Okay. Oh, that worked out well for them. For those long-time viewers of the channel, you will have noted that our realignments on Botswana never seem to, on Angola rather, never seem to go that well. Yeah, maybe should have moved into Botswana first. Oh man, come on. This is just not fair. Sadat can expel Soviets here, I think. Very frustrating. Grain sales, Indo-Pakistani war. Interesting and very annoying. Would have much preferred them to take any other card. Coming at Cameroon. Okay. Well, let's pop this for 3, I think. Put it back to 12. And then we might coup Colombia with Camp David Accords. We might event Indo-Pakistani war ourselves for our VPs. Space the duck and cover and play South America scoring. Is that too many things? That is too many things. All right. So we could hold the duck and cover because it's easier to space and we don't really want to give them puppet governments. So we can play these 3 cards. Red Scare Purge for influence. Okay. Well, that's fine. We'll place one here. And here, I think. It's going to be an annoying score here. Wow, the hand's just unbelievable. It's certainly been a good one. So I'm not like too upset with the fact that we weren't able to press for victory through that. I mean, I think the Quagmire getting rid of the NORAD was definitely the right way to go. Maybe the PEC Gambit was a little bit too vulnerable to realignments, but that's annoying. This is like a dream hand for them at this stage of the game. So hopefully the tables turn and we have another good one next turn. I think we had a good hand last turn though. And it's a bit low enough, so it's still pretty good. Anyway, let's coup Colombia here, I think. So the Indo-Pakistani war is like, it's worth 2 VPs, worth 50% 2 VPs, so it's like worth 1 VP if we just event it. If we get the mill ops either way, whether we coup or event it, and I think coupping Colombia in terms of the board development as well is just a better option. Even though they can just place back into Uruguay to get another non-battleground country, I think that's the right way to go about that. And at least it forces them to do that. And if they have a scoring card, no, there are no more scoring cards, so they can't. But if they have, you know, something that they need to go to space with or something here, then we might just get away with a cheaper South America scoring. So that was not the case. And we need to give them 5. So pretty amazing VP swing. I think that's like 17 VPs in their direction that turn, which is quite something. Especially considering that we defrayed the domination in Africa. It all just worked out very poorly for us. And how I learned as well. Okay. So I don't think we want to headline the We Will Bury You, even though we're just getting absolutely slaughtered by blue cards here in this hand. I think I might headline Summit. And they got our We Will Bury You. Yeah, it's annoying. Should have headlined that We Will Bury You. Ooh. So yeah, this hand's looking pretty rough now. I'm just thinking through what we did at the end of this turn. So we could have spaced puppet governments and held the Vietnam revolts. Or we could have played the Vietnam revolts rather than cooing with it, which would have maybe improved our Southeast Asia scoring position, but would have made Africa harder. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's all that much that we did incorrectly there. Okay, play our action round. I think we're pretty dead actually now, because we can't really regain much tempo off this hand. So we're in a little bit of trouble. So we'll fight for the Middle East even outcome. Actually, let's go with duck and cover. Oh, we have to play Mislandy. So we can fight for an even Middle East outcome by taking Saudi Arabia here. We could have cooed with Mislandy, but I think holding on to Cuba is just a little bit too important if we're going to have any chance of coming back. So now they get a coup, and then we can't have a duck and cover coup, annoyingly. But there's a chance that they don't coup. It's probably coup Iran though. Coup Iran or coup Pakistan, especially since they've got the China card. Or even coup Thailand. With DEFCON this high. So maybe protecting Asia was a reason to coup there rather than worry about Cuba. Okay, interesting. Well, we can do this at least, which is nice. And then we need to work very hard to turn things into positive sources of VPs here. So look, I mean, we've still got 3 hands left. With 3 good hands, we could easily flip Africa, turn Central America into a control, and dominate Asia. And that, depending on how other VPs work out, may be enough, but it's going to be tough. It is going to be tough. I think we're going to have to space this here. Alright, China card back to them. Let's space. Yeah, I think we'll go to space now. A failure. So John Paul is not going to destroy us in Poland at this point. Puppet governments, we can do a little bit with that. What would we do? We could play into Botswana, but I think we'll just finish Saudi Arabia first. So we also want to take Afghanistan. So I think let's take Afghanistan first. That's going to be important for our chances of ever dominating in Asia again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we need to flip 2 countries, which is possible, with another decol, or if Vietnam Revolts comes out in the late war again. Alright, so should have taken Saudi Arabia whilst we had the chance. We knew that they had OPEC, so that was a bit of an error. Formosan resolution 1, 2. Interesting that Formosan survived to the late war. I don't remember it coming out in the early war. Maybe they played it turn 1. Oh, they did. That is why I don't remember it. Alright. Let's trigger Puppet, I think. So they'll probably go Greece, Guatemala, somewhere else maybe. That's okay. I'm alright with that. And then I'll probably actually play this OAS Founded, I think. they might put 2 in Chile, so we might need to put 1 into Chile here. Actually, I think I just want to do this. I think that's that important. We can hold the OAS to next turn. It's not a huge deal. If they've got Central America scoring here, I'll be slightly unhappy. But it was, I think, going to be hard for us to hold on to Central America domination anyway with our particular hand. ABM treaty, all right. Cool. Now let's hold on to John Paul. We'll just trigger this. So they can go 1 Cuba, 1 Chile, and that's frustrating. But I think we're in a bit of trouble in Chile anyway. They're going to go 2 Chile, that's fine. We'll go 1 back, just to make it a little bit harder for them to flip it. And then, yeah, I don't know if we would even coup Argentina if we got the coup next turn. Bear trap, okay, well that's a use for John Paul. All right. Can we turn this Asia scoring into something good? South America scoring could be worth dumping here, considering we're under the bear trap. Brezhnev Doctrine would be a good headline though. Cuban Missile Crisis means they can't coup, but I don't know that there's all that much we can do with that situation. I think we just want Brezhnev Doctrine to try and get an Asia domination off this turn. I think that's the way to go. Oh. Ask not. Hopefully they don't get to get rid of Lone Gunman. It's a fair number of good cards for us. John Paul can go a failure. It's unfortunate. So that getting stuck in the bear trap could probably spell our doom here, I think, because this was one of our last opportunities to turn things around. So we're not going to die, but we're running out of actual things to do this turn now that they've 5-year planned us, so we'll be 1 AR short unless we don't play the UN intervention, which is fine because it's now worth 2 ops, so I'm not too worried about that, although it does, we kind of have to play it because of this Ussuri River skirmish. Yeah, we probably could have actually got rid of the Ussuri and held the special relationship instead there to get ourselves an extra action round. That was a bit of an error. So that's going to mean that, what are we looking at here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, potentially 8. So if we go up to 7, we'll be dominating, but then we need to flip another one. So we need to flip 2 countries to get Asia domination here. So if we get the opportunity, we'll probably just dump South America here. So cooing Nigeria, okay. That's so frustrating. Well, let's go play event 1, 2, 3, 4 is not going to be enough, is it? No. So I think actually what we do is we go 1, 2, 3, 4. If they flip Nigeria with a 3-op, then we don't get Asia domination. What's wrong here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, that's why. 7, 7. Do they currently have 8? Yeah, they currently have 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I miscounted. Okay. Well, that makes things a lot more challenging. In some ways, but in other ways not. So we can just bank our 4 VPs from there. We can go 1, 2... No, actually, let's do something better. Something more aggressive. Let's 1, 2, 3, 4. which might actually help save Chile, because then we can place in Chile and break either Peru or Argentina if they overprotect Argentina, Peru, to try and defray the the realignment again, to give ourselves the breathing room to play our two scoring cards in sequence. Okay, well that's not very nice. They have a 3-op, so we can go. No, I think we actually just pop this now. Then we pop this. And then, yeah, it's pretty hard for us to turn this around at this point. Oh, come on. Outrageous. So we lose 2 ARs. Don't love that. So they get 3 in a row. First one not too damaging. But yeah, it is going to be pretty hard for us to turn this around here. Because they can pretty much just waltz their way in. To wherever they like. Alright, well, this is actually a good hand. So, Brush War, Junta, Red Scare, Socialist Governments, Muslim Revolution. All good cards. I think it's got to be Red Scare though. Junta. I think Junta's fine to play AR1 following the Red Scare. And what would we do with it? We'd probably go 2 into Cuba, coup Venezuela, or 2 into Cuba, coup Mexico. Nah, putting the 2 into Cuba doesn't feel great after having purged them. I think we go 2 in Mexico, coup Mexico, and then play a 4-up into Cuba. That seems fine. But then we're spending Muslim Revolution, which we also want to play because it's worth more. Maybe we'll just put a couple of ops into Cuba and then they won't be able to fight us, hopefully. Oh, man. Alright. So that upsets our Central America plans a little bit. So what if we go one, two? Socialist governments doesn't seem amazing. I mean, it helps us to make a brush war on Italy stronger, but I'm not sure that's what we want to do anyway. We also want to, so the priorities here are to get back to Nigeria or to coup while DEFCON is low, but I'm just thinking whether we can put enough pressure on them to stop them from just being able to move into Nigeria next turn. That's pretty hard to do given the scoreboard and the board position for us to put that much pressure on them. This Muslim Revolution is going to be really handy but also not that handy because we do have access to Egypt actually. So yeah, we'll be getting them out of Iran and Egypt will hopefully give us one of those battlegrounds, given they're under purge. AWACS sales to Saudis probably goes to space. So do we just... I think we junta is the answer. So I think the answer is probably junta into... I think we give up on Cuba. So do we go Mexico or do we just go Argentina? We go Argentina and try and even out Central America here, since liberation theology is also in the deck, which can help us in Central America. Alright. That is a start, but now we lose Nigeria. Which is not ideal. At least we can flip Nigeria back with like SOCGov. But I think I'd rather event SOCGov, but I don't want to use brush war in Africa, and we need to do something about Africa. So I think we might just have to give up on the socialist government's dream, given the board position. And I think Muslim Revolution, brush war Italy. Damn it. Come on. Alright, so maybe we don't brush war Italy. Do want to probably space AWACS sales to Saudis. Let's adjust Muslim Revolution now, actually. It's the opportune moment for that. We do need some mill ops as well, so we'll probably have to coup. We don't want this Star Wars to turn into a problem, so we also want to play that earlier in the turn. So that'll probably be our next play into one of these battlegrounds. It is looking very grim. I'm not sure what the Charles should have washed his hands discussion is, but I agree. Influence, okay. So yeah, Star Wars into Iran at least lets us stabilize the Middle East. Brush war. Okay. So AWACS goes to space, I think, here. Let's just see, 3 ARs left, you know. AWACS goes to space. We negate their headline seeing ability. We're not going to dominate Europe, so we're almost better off using brush war, like to try and dominate South America, for example. So I think this goes into 1 Nigeria, 1 Chile. And then I think maybe Reagan bombs Libya into Chile, hold brush war over is the way to go. So then at least we can try and use brush war to dominate South America. It's all going to be very difficult come final scoring. We've only got 1 turn to try and turn at least 3 regions into dominations. We'd probably need 4 or 5 at this point. And we're going to be going down 2 mill ops here potentially too. I think we have to coup now. So let's go Reagan bombs Libya, coup Cameroon. All right. So disappointing turnaround in this game from where we were. That Quagmire into Portuguese Empire crumbles, China card just getting completely wiped out by the Angola realignment. Angola realignment's come back to haunt us again. But yeah, it was also the rest of the power cards coming out towards the end of that turn. Grand Sales, Alliance for Progress in a really good position, and then How I Learned not only giving them quite a few VPs, but also giving them the opportunity to disrupt our next turn, which was a terrible hand, and then they had Missile Envy to get to nab the headline. Yeah, me and Angola, it's bad news. So they had the Aldrich Ames, which is frustrating. So Vietnam Revolts goes again. Just never happens. It has not been Vietnam Revolts' day. So Africa scoring coming here could be a big problem for us. So let's headline this brush war. I'm probably going to have to throw it into Africa now, considering we've got Africa scoring. And where are we going to throw it? I think probably Angola. Oh no, I've said the words. I think probably Angola. Or maybe it's Algeria on a 4+ is better than Angola on a 5+. I think that's true. Well, we rolled a 2 anyway, so it doesn't matter. So I think we have to just coup Cameroon. We can arms race, which is something at least. All right, 1, 2. Let's stabilize that while we have the opportunity. We can't actually flip Angola is the problem here. Oh boy. I think we're going to have to try for some Hail Mary realigns here though. In Southern Africa. So we'll have a little coup on Cameroon. We'll play arms race, we'll coup Cameroon. And then we'll see what we can do. But given that our opponent has the China card in hand, and there are many good outstanding US events, I think we might be in a bit of trouble. Yeah, I think maybe on this turn 5 as well, if we'd headlined the Brezhnev Doctrine rather than the decolonization, it might have worked out better for us. But we were just, at that point, quite scared of the Africa scoring, so... GG. There we go. Unfortunate turnaround. Didn't quite get there, but thanks for the game and hope you enjoyed watching. Thanks Tim and Michael for dropping by, and hopefully I'll see you for some more streams for the rest of the RTSL season and the ITSL season to come. Good luck to both of you as well. I'll catch you around.